Hi everyone, Tally and Farrell here from Dorado.
And thanks for joining us for this special video. I guess the concept of this video is that board games bring people together, and I assume you're watching this because you play board games, but the same for us. They're a real important part of your life for a lot of reasons. And I think with this video we hope to share some of the reasons why board games are special to us and some of the amazing moments we've had because of board games. And then hopefully you can share this and also, more importantly, share yours, which we'd love to hear. And the reason this video came about is because I unfortunately had a death in the family very recently. And it was obviously a low point, but in that there are multiple times where playing board games just really helped either bring the family together or just even make me laugh at a really dark time.
Yeah.
And we're just going to share some of those anecdotes and some other ones as well of happier times. But so some of the examples would be, we had our friend who moved abroad, and he was probably the core member of our gaming group.
Yeah.
And he came back for the weekend, the same weekend this happened. So kind of had to see him, I guess, because otherwise you don't know when you get to see him again. So he came over with his girlfriend and he wanted to know what new games we had, and we ended up playing Galaxy Trucker. And if you haven't played Galaxy Trucker, you're building a little ship out of component tiles, and then you kind of go through a gauntlet and some bad stuff happens. And obviously I was still pretty upset, but what was great about that experience is that his girlfriend played for the first time and put this ship together. And I think the first card was a combat card, which punishes the player with the least of everything. And she had the least of everything. So her ship started getting dismantled bit by bit. And then every card from that point on was just like a target for her ship until she pulled into port with about 2 pieces left. And it was just this thing of where we're just laughing the whole time. And it really lifted my spirits just watching. Because, she sat there going, I absolutely hate this game because her ship is just coming apart piece by piece.
But even she was in hysterics by the end, right?
Because it was so silly.
Yeah, it was so ridiculous that every card was abolishing her ship.
Yeah, it was just such a silly game, and it was just really nice moment. And then the other thing was that I had to go to Ireland for the funeral, and I brought Codenames, and I introduced it to my family over there. And it's probably, maybe even the first modern board game they've played. And, we're kind of here on the eve of this funeral, and by rights everyone should be sad. But yeah, 6 or 7 of us sat around the table, kind of taking our minds off it. We're all together as a family. And it was pretty funny for me because they got real savage real quick. There was like shouting and accusations of cheating. And it was pretty dark. But it was nice. It was just nice as like this way to bring the family together and kind of, all be there for each other.
It's a good distraction, right?
Yeah, and then also I had the great moment of, introducing your hobby to someone. They all wanted to run out and buy copies of Codenames because they were so taken with it because they hadn't experienced anything like it. Which is also, I'm sure you all know, a really nice feeling as well.
Definitely.
To hear that.
Yeah, I guess I had a similar experience when also something sad happened in the family, a death. And we were going on a trip to Scotland, weren't we? Which we were maybe considering to cancel, but then some more family decided to join actually, so that we could have something to focus on and a bit of a distraction. But again, board games were playing quite an integral part of that trip. So we'd be sat in the Scottish pubs in the evening. And just one specific memory I have is playing Pugs in Mugs actually, which is a card set collection game.
Yeah.
About collecting pugs. And again, similar to what you were saying, it's just a really great distraction, and we were all just having a laugh at the game, and you can steal people's cards, and just is a nice feeling to be taken out of the sadness for a time whilst you're playing the game.
It's escapism, right? It allows you to escape as well and focus your mind somewhere else. Definitely.
Yeah, and just I think another thing for me is I am someone who has a bit of a fear of conversation drying up when you have friends round. It makes me a little bit anxious when, people arrive and you have things to talk about, you haven't seen them for a while, and then after a while you can start to feel the conversation goes a little bit dry. I personally find that a bit anxiety inducing. So I absolutely love that we have this good collection of board games that we can just say, hey, anyone want to play a game? And it just, I don't know, reignites the fire for the evening, gives you something to focus on. You feel like you don't have to think of something to make conversation with, which, yeah, like I said, I personally struggle with a little bit. I'd rather just have something to focus on, have an activity to do for the rest of the evening. And then sometimes the conversation just flows naturally again. But I think it just provides a nice break point in the evening. And then I think another reason why I love board games now, or as an experience that's been introduced to me, is I grew up in a teeny tiny family, and you know, at Christmas when people with bigger families, you feel like they can play. Yeah, we had some classic board games in my house growing up. Yeah, like Trivial Pursuit, Articulate. I mean, still love a bit of Articulate, not gonna lie, but games like this. And I always felt like, and you did need to have more people to play those games. So Articulate, really, you need minimum of 4, so 2 on 2. And at events like Christmas, we just never really had that in my family. It was always only 2 or 3 of us. So always felt like, I really want to play a game, but we can't because there isn't enough of us. And now that we have this good collection of modern board games, my eyes have been widened. Is that a phrase? No. My horizons have been widened. And actually now I know that there's plenty of board games that you can play with 2 players. And obviously we often do. Either that be board games specifically made for 2 players, or games that are designed for more, but we like to play at 2. So that's kind of comforting, actually, to know that even if you have not that many people in your family, there's plenty of great games that you can play. I also love that I've been introduced to games that have these really cool themes, which again, when I was growing up, I never realised could be a thing. So something that you take an interest in outside of board games, there could be a board game of that.
Probably is. And
when I'm saying this, I'm particularly thinking of viticulture and games like this, where the theme, I think I always just thought board games were, I guess, trivia-led or about space. Or combat and war and things like this. Exactly, risk. And I just love that there's an absolutely wide range of themes available now that can get people interested in games, even if they're not particularly interested in board games. I think Dog Park is a great example of that. People that like dogs want to play Dog Park because it's about dogs, and it can actually get them into board games rather than board games getting them, into a theme, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it's reversed.
I think another great memory for me is kind of recently, actually, and it was introducing my mother and her friend to Dorado, and they came to stay with us, and I think that was the game that we played most. And it's just this thing of, it's obviously always nice to share your interest with someone, and have them reciprocate. And obviously we're much heavier gamers than, let's say, my mother would be, and particularly her friend, right?
Yeah.
And it was just a really wonderful experience to be sat across the table with them. And obviously there's a generational gap as well. Yeah, they're just as invested and having just as much fun, and trying to win as hard as they can.
Yeah.
And it's just a really nice experience, as opposed to I don't know, just everyone sitting in front of the TV watching something. So we're all social and laughing, and it's just really nice. Board games are this really nice experience where they're so interactive that if they're your interest and you share them, that it's kind of easy to get people to share that interest back.
Yeah.
And it's very fulfilling. And it can just give you a lot of nice experiences, I think. So that was something I really enjoyed and I really like about board games.
Yeah, but like you said, I think it's the same thing as I said earlier about sort of not plugging a gap, filling a gap in the evening. But yeah, like you said, we could have all just been sat around watching TV, but instead we were all interacting with each other and engaging with each other. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, then we'll come to, I think, one of our all-time favourite board game memories, which we've spoken about before,
Yeah.
which we share, is when we first got Scythe. And it was one of like our first really modern board game. Like, I think we had Ticket to Ride at that point, maybe Eldritch Horror, but it was the game that really opened our eyes to what modern board games could be. And we just spent an entire Christmas because we live abroad, so sometimes we can't get back, for COVID reasons or monetarily. And that time we decided to stay on purpose, but we spent it with our friend who was also kind of marooned here. And it was just such a wonderful time of like eating and drinking and playing Scythe all day, every day, because we just didn't know games could be that much fun.
Yeah, exactly. I think we played about 2 to 3 games every night over the Christmas period, didn't we? We played it just to get a feel for the game, just 2-player, and we had a lot of fun. And I think you did say, "Oh, should we just stop here midway through the game?" I was like, "No, let's carry on."
That surprised me.
Yeah, exactly. And we got to the end of the game. Can't wait to play this with our friend, and then play it. We did all Christmas long. It was fantastic. It's one of my favourite Christmases. Yeah,
exactly. It's true. It's really true, and it's just because, I mean, we're already good friends, but it did kind of bring us together as well, and it gave the whole day a focal point, right?
Yeah.
It was just a lot of fun, and you get into your own meta, and we had our own nicknames for the words, for the resources. Because we played it so much. I've carried on to other games, and it's just that was just a really nice Christmas friend experience as well. I don't think you get with many other mediums. If we just sat and watched Christmas movies, it wouldn't have been quite the same. I mean, luckily he only lived about 10 to 15 minutes down the road from us at the time, so it was just a case of he would leave. Okay, see you tomorrow for another Scythe night, and we would just be back round, right? Exactly.
And that Christmas will be forever fondly thought of as Scythemas.
Yeah, Scythemas. I think we're just going to end on one of the things that we really love about board games, as well as the ways they bring people together and create social experiences. Just the pure variety as well. I mean, there's always something different to experience, whether it be theme or mechanics or just novel innovation in the way that games work. It's kind of just such a wonderful hobby because there's so much to explore. Like, we've played so many games, but there's so many more things we haven't experienced.
Definitely.
And each year, I think you're going to experience new things and new genres. Like, before this year, we hadn't played roll and rights, and now we absolutely love roll and rights, things like that. Sure. And these novel experiences, like we played this RPG, Alice is Missing, and you kind of start it like a normal RPG where you kind of create a character and get some backstory. Then you play it through text. So you all sit in like a darkened room and they have an official soundtrack, and you just like text each other, and you kind of draw cards to push the story along. But that was just a really novel experience to have that like we kind of always share with the people we played with.
Yeah, definitely.
That I think you wouldn't get in other, I'd say, hobbies particularly. It
was funny to me because you are not allowed to say anything for, I think, is it an hour or 90 minutes?
90 minutes, maybe.
90 minutes. And that 90 minutes just went like that, didn't it? And we were all just messaging each other, and you have little side conversations going on. So despite 90 minutes of nobody talking to each other, we had an absolutely great time.
Yeah.
And we were really getting into the roles of the game. And just, again, like you said, it's very unique that you don't actually speak, and yet there's so much going on in the game. Yeah. It's just really clever.
So, I think that's all we wanted to share for now. But as you said, the point of this was to hopefully share some of the amazing moments or times that board games have kind of lifted us up or just given us really nice experiences. Particularly, obviously, because of what I was saying before. And I think we'd love to hear about yours as well.
Yeah. And
to hear other nice experiences and what moments board games have given to you, maybe, with family, not with family, with friends, what they've done for you, I guess.
Yeah.
To just be, I think, a nice theme / message for, the holidays and stuff.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
But thank you for watching and putting up with our ramblings. We really appreciate it, and it was quite cathartic, I think. But again, thanks for watching, and we really appreciate it. See ya.
Bye.